This week, we have a very, very special guest referee to join proceedings in the form of Inside the Ropes' very own Kenny McIntosh. How are you today, Kenny?
I'm good. I'm very excited to be here. It's nice because sometimes you don't actually want to be there and actually do want to be on this one. So that's good. I don't need to pretend today. So that's nice.
We're gonna make you regret saying that very quickly. In the world of professional wrestling, you're now in the world of amateur podcasting.
Listen, I'm the king of amateur podcasting. I've been doing that for 8 years. How did I got to where I am right now? Crappy podcasts. We started Inside the Ropes. We did it outside of a university. We did it in a university radio station in Glasgow, and it was so like bush league that some of the weeks they'd forget to open the building that we needed to use. So the only way to get in would be to, and this sounds bad, but this is how much we cared about it. We had to break in through the Muslim Centre downstairs and sort of go through this class that happened to get to the fire escape, to get up into the back of the building that we need to get into. That is dedication. So when you're breaking into places to do this, that's when you know that, you know, you've made it.
Kenny, so what is it that first got you into wrestling?
So this will be showing how old I am, but my mum's friend Gail bought me a Hasbro wrestling ring in like 1990 for my Christmas, and I was like 5. And I had never watched it. I had no idea what it was. So my mum immediately bought me some Hasbros. And when I saw Akeem the African Dream, I was hooked. And then I just started watching the tapes because my mum bought me some, and I've loved it ever since then.
And obviously, Inside the Ropes is very successful now. I've been on many of your shows, like Paul Heyman, Cody, Shawn Michaels. As you can see from my background, this is from your show, Goldberg. What made you want to start Inside the Ropes?
Well, it's funny you get that Shawn Michaels photo there. We noticed on tour that Shawn Michaels had the exact same face in every photo that took place. I've never seen it done before or since. It is a skill that man has developed. But so it was like late 2011. I was at an ICW show and I bumped into this guy called Robert, and he had done film journalism and I'd done broadcast journalism, and there was like a community radio show on Glasgow about wrestling. I don't want to say it was bad, but we thought we could do a better one. So we started doing Inside the Ropes. And then the following year, I think it was 2013, I had like 3 things that happened in succession. So like a relationship ended, I lost my job, I quit my job in TV, and then I had to move back home with my mum. And she's really hard to live with. So that was really difficult in particular. But all those things happened. I was like, I need to do something different. And I read that DDP was going to be doing some yoga in Dundee, which is a very strange sentence to think about. But so I reached out to his guy and I was like, why don't we do like a Q&A in Glasgow? Like, why don't I just like interview him on stage and people would want to meet him? And we did that, and that went well. The thing is, the first few Inside the Ropes live shows, while they were good, made no money whatsoever. And then the 4th one we did was Jim Cornette, and we lost like £500 doing it. And the guy, Robert, I was doing it with at the time, was just like, are we just marks for doing this? And I think at that point we probably were, because we weren't making any money. So we took a break and then came back and did the Sting tour in 2015, and that got me hired by What Culture, and then it all came out from there.
Would you say that maybe the Sting tour was the moment you realised this could become a full job for you, actually doing touring and Q&As with wrestlers?
I think that definitely was the beginning of me being like, could this be a thing? But nah, it's probably not going to be. And then I remember being, it would have been, I think I was at the Barclays Centre for a show in I think it was like the Raw before WrestleMania 32 or something like that. But I was at a show in America, and I got a text from somebody I knew in wrestling who said, what if I could get you Heyman? And I was just like, what? Like Heyman? And then we got Heyman. I was like, well, if we can get him, like the no-goes are maybe a go. So that was the point where I was kind of like, this might not just be a 1-year thing. This might be for good. So, I mean, now COVID's happened, so who knows if we're going to get to do it again. Probably one night only with Virgil in front of 5 people. But, you know, at this point, I'll take that. I'll bring Virgil over. I'm gagging to do a show.
I'm just going to jump on something a little. There's a lot of name drops in there. Like, we had Paul Heyman dropped in there casually. We had Shawn Michaels dropped in there casually. We had DDP dropped in there casually, as if it weren't a thing. Is there any particular funny stories or memories you've got from those kind of tours that stand out to you? Perhaps a story you don't tell so often.
One that I can tell, and one that would not be repurposed into. Oh, so when we had Shawn Michaels over, like, I was very worried about meeting him because I was thinking he's going to just think, who are these people? And but luckily we had a certain friend from a Claymore country who was able to put in a good word for us. And so he was very nice. He was lovely. But the first day in Ireland, we got there, and it was just like me and him and the driver guy. And we got to I said the driver guy. He was the promoter in Ireland. I'm calling him the driver guy, like I'm driving Miss Daisy. But like, we get to the hotel, and I was like, "Oh, by the way, Shawn, if you want my number, like if you need anything, just let me know if something comes up." And then I said, "Do you want me to put my number in your phone?" And he just looked at me and he was like, "Are you trying to get my number?" And I was like, "No, I'm not asking you out, Shawn Michaels, but I get where you're coming from." So I gave him my number, went away, thought that's it, had the free day. And then about 2 hours later, I got this text message from Shawn Michaels going, "Kenny, a bit of a strange request, but I forgot my hot water bottle. Is there any chance you could go out and get me one?" Sure. So I go to get a hot water bottle for Shawn Michaels because that's what you do on a Monday morning. And then I was like, I'll go and take it to him. And then like I'm walking up this corridor to his hotel room, and I'm like, this is just so strange. And then I get to the door, and he answers it, and he's just wearing a pair of shorts, and he is ripped. And I hand him this hot water bottle with the realization that I will never in my life be in the physical shape that this 53-year-old man is in, who doesn't even wrestle anymore. So I just walked back feeling quite dirty, quite ashamed, and quite confused from the experience of giving Shawn Michaels a hot water bottle. But apparently his joints felt good the next day, and he was all set to go for the show, so it was worth it.
Surely, I'm jumping in, Crush. I got to ask this one. Surely, as you were walking up the stairs at this hotel or up the lift with a hot water bottle in hand, surely there's some part of you there like, this is a rib. Like, this is a rib, and I'm going to knock on Big Mike's room of like 4 doors down, standing there with a hot water bottle, wondering what's going on.
There was part of me thinking that, but you have to do it, because what if he's not ribbing you, and then the story gets out you've refused to get him a hot water bottle, and then he walks on stage like John Wayne, and it's your fault. So, but yeah, that's just one of the random encounters that you will experience. There was one tour. It wasn't the recent tour, but when I was working at What Culture, I was like talent liaison, and I got a text from Bret Hart, and he gave me a kiss at the end of it, and that was very strange, because I just never associate, and I don't think he meant it. I think it was a mistake, but it was like, have you seen? Because we would sell his glasses on that tour every night, and then we would give him the money and the glasses at the end of the night. And he just wrote, "Have you seen my Have you got my glasses, Kenny?" Bret kiss. Very strange.
Just the first show I went to of yours was Paul Heyman up in Manchester. What was he like away from it? Because obviously we've seen the character. Obviously we've got a partnership with yourselves, and we use your videos on Facebook now. Our most popular videos on there. What's he like away from the camera?
He was great. Like the night before we did the first show in London, so when he arrived in London, right, I was like, I am fascinated to see what Paul Heyman is going to look like when he just comes off the plane. Do you know what I mean? Because you just can't imagine him in joggies. Do you know what I mean? Like walking off the plane. I was like, what is he going to be wearing? Like, what's he going to be? And it was like, because this was the Monday after UFC 200, where Brock had just beaten, I need to say this very carefully as a Scottish person, Mark Hunt, because it just sounds very different if I say it. Anyway, so he had just beaten that individual, Brock Lesnar, and then so I'm like waiting at Heathrow, thinking, what's it going to be like? 7 a.m. and he walks out full suit, full strut, just like you go. And then we went for like a crew dinner the night before at like I think it was like in Westfields in London. We went to like one of the restaurants like up the stairs or something, and there was like 15 of us. There was all the crew. There was him, his camera guy, and he like made a point of like going up to everybody and kind of getting to know them a little bit and making them feel important. And then I went to go and pay the bill, and when I walked up, the guy was like, "Oh, it's already been taken care of. That guy over there took care of it," and it was Heyman, and he'd like just paid this, you know, £150-200 food bill like that, and that was like the first impression. So, but I mean, he could sell snow to Eskimos. Like he just like he would tell that story. I'm sure. I think we've got it on the Sport Channel actually, where it was like about did Brock Lesnar shoot on the Undertaker, and you know he didn't shoot on the like you know, but when Paul Heyman's telling you on stage, you're just like, oh, did he? Like an idiot, but like that's what he does. He is able to do that to you. So I've always had a great experience with him. We still kind of keep in contact a little bit. So yeah, he actually, I don't know if I've ever said this before. He actually got us Goldberg, because he sort of put a good word in with Goldberg and said, look, you know, these guys are great. You'll be well taken care of, and yeah, we got to experience Goldberg, who is the scariest man in the world, but also a sweetheart. Very strange. He kissed me on the cheek on the last day, and I just didn't think that was where this was going to end up. There's a photo of it, actually, of like him kissing me on the cheek and me just being like, but he was fun.
Speaking of which, Kenny, you mentioned The Undertaker there. I remember when we were in the SPORF office and when it was announced, and basically we were all going crazy, mainly because we were waiting to see if Crush could actually get tickets. He went straight all in for that VIP pass. We knew he was going to see Undertaker. Exactly. What went into actually getting Taker for that tour? Because if I'm right, wasn't this like his first sort of Q&A session he'd done outside of WWE in any way?
Yeah, this is like bringing up like a bereavement talking about this. It's because it's like you think it's going to be the biggest thing you ever do, and then it kind of falls apart, and there's nothing you can do about it. We got Taker through a company he was working with who were booking him for outside gigs, and unbeknownst to us, they agreed to a contract with us, and that wasn't something that he had agreed with WWE. So I think the StarCast thing basically mucked it up, and it got to a point where it was going to. I mean, when we got him, it was easier than you would think. It was just, you know, we've got a really good rep. We've done loads of shows. People can vouch for us, so we were able to get it done. But it then all fell apart, and it was a case of I could work really hard to make sure he was there for the meet and greet, and that's it, or not be there at all. And it's because the difficulty for me is that like I don't really do these events for meet and greets. Like I do them because I want to do the show and I want to do the interview, and that's like the sell for me personally doing it. Let's get this photo there. And it's difficult because like I just don't have any good memories of that experience. It is one of the worst experiences I've ever had. So personally, it's just not a great experience for me because it was so difficult to get it to happen. And then luckily Mick Foley stepped in to save the day, because if he hadn't stepped in, I don't think we'd be sitting here having this conversation. But yeah, it was just really rough, and to do all that work just for some photos is difficult for me to justify. But a lot of people who were at the shows were like, I got to meet the Undertaker because of you. I never thought that was going to happen. So I'm glad that that's there, and I wouldn't change it because so many people got to meet him because of that. And there was people who come up to me at the shows and they were like giving me like cards saying thank you and stuff. So it's not about me, but I'm glad that people got to meet him in the end.